Hello guys, how you all doing? So welcome back to my channel. And in this video, we're going to talk about the things you should know before traveling to South Africa. So last December, I had the privilege of visiting Cape Town, South Africa. And here are the minor things that I noticed that I think if you know them prior, they'll sort of like improve your whole experience, but also the things that will help you like make a better itinerary in a way. So yeah, let's get into the video. So number one, I think you should be aware that there is a free walking tour company that sort of like hosts a few touristic activities for free. They only work on tips, so you can just give them whatever you want. I'll try to link their pages down below and also put a picture of their posters here. But yeah, essentially they do most of the basic touristic activities that you could do in Cape Town or South Africa, but they do it for free, basically. And I did the Bokap city tour, and I know Bokap is the kind of place that you could just like ride up there and just go by yourself. But I think I had a better experience because I did it as a tour and I did it for free. So I had a better experience. Like I had an overall improved experience because I had to hear like the history of the Bokap town overall. I had to see some like highlights of Bokap. You know, like if you go to Bokap by yourself, you just like look at the colored houses and leave. But if you go there with a tour guide, you sort of like get the behind the scenes, like what's really happening, how is the government still treating the place and all that. So I think it was an overall better experience because I did the tour and I did it for free, and you can too. Number two, I think you should be aware of load shedding in South Africa, and they do that like a lot. So be warned. Also, maybe like when you're choosing your accommodation, you could choose in areas that they don't experience load shedding as well. And you can know all of that stuff in an application called ESCOM. So ESCOM is where they sort of like give you updates about when load shedding is going to happen where. So you could just like see if your place will fall into the areas or not. Or just to be on the safe side, just ask your host if it's a hotel or if it's an Airbnb, ask them if they have like a backup generator or if they experience load shedding as much, because if they're in a zone that experiences load shedding as much, you're just going to be experiencing it as much. So you just be careful and like ask prior or like see if you can make like other arrangements to work around it in a way. Number three is South Africans use Type M adapter, and you need to know about that. And this is the kind of adapter that you need to bring if you want to have all the convenience with charging your devices, because I learned this the hard way because I did not bring the Type M adapter. Apparently, I didn't even look it up, like what kind of adapters they use. So I was just going with my usual adapter that I use in my country, but then it was not applicable in theirs. And to make matters worse, my USB was also Type C to Type C USB, so I could not even use the USB port to charge because it was a USB port and I have a Type C port, you know. So just be careful and make sure you bring the adapter or at least have a USB, because I noticed most of the places that I went to, they had the USB charging option, but then you need to have the USB side of things, you know, for it to work. Number four is that literally you don't need cash in South Africa, at least in most places. Like you could live around with no cash and you don't have to freak out if you don't have cash or if you haven't exchanged your money, because I made the mistake of just like withdrawing a lot of money because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to an African country. And I'd been to another country before where they did not like accept me to pay with card in most places. They wanted cash. So I thought it would be the same for South Africa. So when I was heading in, I just like withdrew a lot of money and had it in cash. But to my surprise, most of the places that I went were cashless, at least in Cape Town. Yeah. So most of the places that I went were cashless. They preferred card than cash. And even the places that did accept cash, they also had like the card option and they are very like open to it. And I was like, okay, this is very nice. Like I really did not need the cash that I had. So yeah, don't freak out about not having cash. You really don't need cash in South Africa, especially in Cape Town. You can live without cash, just your card you swipe and everything is good. Another thing you should know is that the tipping culture very much exists in South Africa, especially in Cape Town. The tipping culture very much exists. And for me, it was sort of like a shocker because I come from a country where tipping is not really a thing. Like tipping is sort of like I just do it voluntarily, and most waiters are sort of like impressed when I tip. But in South Africa, it's sort of like it, I felt like it was sort of like expected because they even like asked like how much they add for tips. I was like, so like you should like expect that because the tipping culture is there, and in a way they sort of like expect you to tip. So Also, if you're planning to hike either the Table Mountain or the Lion's Head, you should know that the hikes are legit, like they're proper hikings. I did not have the proper hiking shoes, though I did both hikings, and I think you should not repeat the same mistake because my shoes are very slippery on the rocks. So if you're planning to hike either Table Mountains or Lion's Head, the best thing you can do for yourself is just have the proper hiking shoes, and then you're gonna save yourself a lot of trouble and a lot of worries about like getting injuries on the hikes and stuff because the hikings are real. Like they're legit hikings. So be prepared for that as well. And on that same note, if you're planning to go on top of Table Mountain with cable cars, you should know that there are usually like very long queues to go towards the Table Mountain. So the best thing you can do is book online and go there because if you book online, you're literally going to save yourself like an hour of the queue. But if you go book there physically, you're going to stay in line for a long time. So you have two options: either go there early and stay in the queue for a long time, or book online and still go there early if you're planning to use the cable cars because there's long queues. I think it's because they just have like one cable going down and up. So everyone is relying on that cable car. So you guys take turns. I did the hiking option and I think it was a good experience. It was the best. Like we just hiked up, but even with hiking, you don't have to hike alone. Like please don't hike alone because that hike is long and you're gonna need the community like to just like push you and like go all the way up. So you could take that option as well, sort of like just hike to the top of Table Mountain, but then make sure you have like sort of like company or like a community sort of like do this with because this is not the kind of hiking that you want to do by yourself. Something else you should know about Cape Town or South Africa in general is that SIM cards are not very cheap. Like they're sort of like expensive, especially if you want like mobile data to walk around with. I know you can't have Wi-Fi everywhere you go. So if you want a mobile data, you have to buy like a SIM, but then the SIM cards are not very affordable. I mean, in comparison to other countries, the SIM cards are built on like a higher end, but they're manageable. So you can also be prepared for that. So last but not least, another thing they should know before visiting Cape Town is that they have this thing they called First Thursdays, and it's literally every first Thursday of the month. They sort of like do a street party in a way. It's not like a street party per se, but it's sort of like literally everyone is outside. Like they're usually very happening because they have this thing. Like first Thursday for them is a thing. So like they go out and party for that. So if you go clubbing on like a first Thursday, it's guaranteed that you're gonna have like a great time because they have that thing going on. And they sort of like do bar hopping. That's the tradition. They do like bar hopping every first Thursday of the month. And I actually like read the story about it. So initially, the first Thursday thing was supposed to like be like a world celebrate arts and like restaurants and all of that. But overall, it's turning on to be just more of a groove thing. Though there's still an art event happening, but the groove is like growing bigger than the art side of things. So if you're in Cape Town in a first Thursday, make sure you go out and like have that fun because it's gonna be like hell fun, guaranteed. And they usually do it on like Long Street and Bray Street. So those two streets will be like happening. All right, guys. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys have found this useful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And welcome to my channel. Okay, I'm done.